Hello, it's Gabrielle Nicolay with Speech Kids and Raising Orchid Kids, where we teach little kids to talk and help parents understand their little kids. And today I've got, after much wangling, Rich Weinfeld of Weinfeld Education Group. So Rich, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here talking with you. I'm
delighted that we were going to be able to do this. Tell the good people who you are and what you do, please.
Sure. So it's sadly it's a long story because I've been in education for 48 years now. Hard to believe, but true. So I started teaching elementary school in Montgomery County 48 years ago, and I had a wonderful 30-year career in Montgomery County Public Schools. Most of that was in special education. I worked at a couple of facilities for students with pretty significant emotional disabilities, Mark Twain School, which is no longer, and the Regional Institute for Children and Adolescents, which is still there, RICA, it's often known as, and was the director of a middle school learning center where I was introduced to kids who were twice exceptional, gifted with disabilities. Of course, once I was introduced to them, I realized I had always worked with them and always loved them. I just didn't have a name for them. Then I went on to be the county's first full-time director of the programs for twice exceptional students. I did that for my last 6 years in the county, and wonderful position, wonderful parents and kids, and MCS really does have some extraordinary programs, which they are proud of. 18 years ago, I retired, and my thought was to do some advocacy work because I could see how much parents needed help in navigating the systems to get appropriate services for their kids. That quickly mushroomed to my needing to bring on other associates because the demand was so great. And simultaneously, I had all these wonderful professionals who were approaching me about possibly working with me. So as I say, organically, we kind of grew, and very proud that at this point we have 15 wonderful special education experts who provide services all over DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and now virtually everywhere in the United States. So it's been a wonderful progression, and very proud of what we're doing.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And so, okay, there's a couple of terms that I want to unpack before we get too much further. Twice exceptional, what does it mean?
Yeah, so that actually, when I started with the programming, that term wasn't so prevalent. We in Montgomery County, we said GTLD, or gifted with learning disabilities. But it's expanded to twice exceptional because not all of the kids have learning disabilities. They may be kids with autism. They may be kids with speech and language disabilities, or health impairments such as ADHD, or the kids that you and your group work with so wonderfully, speech and language disabled kids. So on one hand, they have these challenges, disabilities. On the other hand, they are definitely gifted kids who deserve to be challenged at a very high level. So twice exceptional brings together both the opportunities on the gifted side and also the specialized instruction and accommodations to make that possible for kids who have that kind of challenge or disability.
Yeah. And so thank you for doing that, because we talk about 2E and twice exceptional as if everybody knows what it means, and we don't always. And I think sometimes
a lot of acronyms. So please stop me if I start spewing them. Yes,
and I'll miss them too. But I think sometimes we get parents are confused because they will say things like, "They're really smart, so why can't they fill in the blank," right? Have a conversation with somebody, find their shoes in the morning, do their homework, right? They know all the content that the teacher is teaching them, but they have a D because they can't remember to find and or do and or submit their homework. So these are the kids, right, where parents are really confounded by what's happening. And so you tell me, an advocate does what then in that scenario?
Yeah. So, gosh, a few things I want to respond to, and your great question. So, one is that you could fill in the blank of what they can't do with a lot of things, including reading, including writing.
Yes.
And even though they are so bright and they are legitimately gifted kids in any sense of measurement, it's they really can't do those things because they truly have a disability.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to jump in here too, because
Sure.
I want everybody to hear this really, really clearly.
Sure.
Reading has nothing to do, ability to read has nothing to do with your intelligence
Absolutely not.
most of the time. I just really want people to hear that. Like, it's not a measure of intelligence, as much as we use it to measure intelligence sometimes.
Exactly. So, again, to your question, I think we as adults, teachers, parents, well, he's so smart. He knows everything about the solar system. He knows everything about Pokemon, whatever his passions are. If he just applied himself, he could do blank. And we don't often think that, well, there could be a disability present along with this wonderful gift.
Mm-hmm.
So in our group, we do have a specialty in advocating for twice exceptional kids, although I do want to emphasize that we advocate for kids with every disability, with and without gifts. We also advocate for gifted kids without disabilities because they often need advocacy to get to the right program and get accepted and placed and get what they need. They also have exceptional needs and need a lot of tender care as well. But when it comes to working with 2E, since that's what you asked me, we advocate, first of all, we want to become an expert on the child. So how do we do that? We review every record available about the child. We want to look carefully at every assessment that's been done. And when I say assessment, we're talking about psychological, neuropsychological, educational, speech and language, physical therapy, occupational therapy, medical assessments. So we learn about the child by reviewing all of that. We want to look at whatever plans have been done by the school in the past for the child, with what success. We want to look at notes of previous meetings with the school. We want to look at report cards, the kind of testing the school does for all kids. If the child has an IEP already or 504 plan, we want to look at those and see what was included. Was it on target? Did it include what it should? Second step in getting to know the child is we always want to observe the child. We don't want to just rely on other people's opinions. We want to bring our own unique expertise to bear. So we always schedule a time to go to the school, be a fly on the wall, literally. The child, we don't want the child to know we're there to see them. We don't want to put them on the spot, but to really see what is happening for that child in the classroom. How are they responding? When is it that maybe they're showing more behavior challenges or wanting to leave the room or putting their head down? What's going on in the class at that moment? That's a big clue to what are the things that they're having difficulty with. And while we're there, we get a chance to speak with staff outside of a meeting, which is crucial because now we're talking just professional to professional, like you and I are speaking today, and it can be very informal, and staff don't feel on the spot as they do in meetings, so they often will share very valuable information in that setting. And then the last part of information gathering is we want to speak with other providers. So if they have a private speech therapist, we want to speak to them and get their perspective. Yeah. Same goes for any other discipline, their tutor, their coach, their music teacher, their athletic coach, because all of these people bring unique perspectives.
Mhm.
Some people see the students at their best, which may not be evident in school.
Mhm.
But then, forgive me for such a long-winded
No,
answer,
I
but
love that. This is
okay.
fantastic. You're going right through down the line.
Stop me anywhere. Stop me
No,
anywhere.
no, you're
But
good.
but so after forming the expert opinion, we then sit down with the parents. We ask them additional questions. We tell them what we're thinking and seeing. We communicate to them what we think the next steps should be in the process, which typically involves some type of school meeting. Is it going to be meeting asking for an IEP or asking for a 504 plan or reviewing the current plan? And we then, I think where we shine is we come to the meetings with the parents, and we're experts at the policy, procedures, laws that go with each of these different processes. We know the language, how to speak to the school staff at those meetings so that things will happen as they should for the students. We're expert at negotiating in an appropriate way to get the students what they need.
Mhm.
And then that advocacy process hopefully ends with the student getting the type of plan they need, which includes appropriate goals, accommodations, services, and might involve a different school placement. It might involve another public program, or it could involve a private program.
Yeah, I was
So,
going to ask you about that. So, okay, so
sure.
at what stage, and maybe there isn't a blanket answer that you can give me, but how many families are coming to you in crisis? And how many are being sort of proactive and saying, this is okay for now, but maybe we want to take a look down the road?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, I would say, just like all of us do in many areas of our life, we are motivated by some type of crisis. So I think a majority of our clients are coming to us because they're really distraught, unhappy, worried
Yeah.
that their child is not getting what they need, or they know in their own mind their child is not getting what they need.
Yeah.
And we're happy to work with people at that point. We love the client who comes to us proactively,
Yeah.
who says, in the intake, and I do all the intakes for the group,
Mm.
who says to me, Rich, I'm not sure. I don't know if they're getting what they need or not. I don't, and maybe things are fine. I just want an expert's view of what's going on. And that gives us, kind of the luxury of maybe more time, but also no agenda on the part of the parents, just a kind of blank slate to look at things. There's always suggestions we can make. And we always end up, making some suggestions. I can't think of a case where we didn't,
Mhm.
but those are cases that we love to take on.
Yeah. When families come to you and they are in crisis, what are some of the, how do I want to ask you this? What are the things that they need? What do they need to hear when they come to you and they're like,
That sounds familiar.
yeah.
What they need to hear is, number one, that we're hearing them, that
Mm,
we understand how worried they are about their child. And most of us are parents too. I'm a parent of two young men, so we get that.
mhm,
So we hear you. You've reached the right place.
mhm,
We're going to help you.
mhm,
And here's how we're going to help you.
mhm,
So, I think you know, we're not going to give them the answers on the first phone call because we don't know enough, and wouldn't be appropriate to take a guess at what the child needs, even if the parent gives us a good description, because we have to do our due diligence.
mhm,
But we want to put them at ease that, yes, you found people who are going to help you. And I will say, when folks call us, it may not be appropriate that they need advocacy. Maybe what they really need is an assessment, or maybe what they really need is a therapist of some type. We we are committed to having parents leave the conversation with us in better shape than when they called us. So we're going to give them some recommendations. Here's 3-5 people you can call who are wonderful at speech therapy. Here's 3-5 people, that you can call who can do a psychological assessment, whatever it is that they may need to get started.
I love that you said that, because one of the things that I also feel very strongly about is whether or not you come to Speech Kids or Raising Orchid Kids as a client, I want you to know what you need to know in order to make the next best choice.
Absolutely.
And then take the next decision for your child. And so if that means I'm sending you to either to you or to the county, for example, for a free evaluation, right? And you didn't know that the county provides obligatory free service to anybody under the age of 5. That's information that I feel like ethically bound to provide to people.
Absolutely. And we've all been on the other side of, the endless phone calling, trying to find someone who can help us. And it's so frustrating. So anything that we can do to get the person to the next step of their journey, we're going to do.
When families work with you, is there like a timeline of is there an expected amount of time that you're going to be together?
So it varies so much based on the individual child, because for some kids it's going to be one meeting, and we're going to tweak the current plan, and we may be done, at least for now. For other students, it may be 3-4 meetings to get to the point of, for example, a private placement that the school system is going to fund because it's the right thing to do. But that doesn't happen easily, as you could imagine. So that's going to take several meetings to get to that point. So it varies widely. And, as I said, we're going to work as quickly as possible to get to a good point, which sometimes could be as short as a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the other piece is we're often done for then, but 6 months later, a year later, parents may call us back to say, hey, it's time for the annual review. I really want you to be there. Or, things were going well, and then I don't know why they've gone off the rails. And or there's one teacher who doesn't seem to get it, and they're not getting the accommodations and supports they're supposed to get. So whatever it is, we get re-involved at parents' request at any point, as much as it needs to be done. But I have clients, and all the folks in my group do, that we may have been seeing for 6, 8, 10 years periodically as the need arises.
And one thing we know about orchids, which is essentially who we're talking about here, and even those guys who are just gifted, for whom school is a bad fit, are demonstrating some orchid-like tendencies, right? Because they're not able to go with the flow, or it's not a good placement for them. And so orchids, I like to say, they're sensitive to their environments, and they're not just going to go with the flow. And it's a year-by-year, or it can be a year-by-year decision about what they need and where they belong.
And sometimes, things are good for the rest of elementary school, 2-3 years, and then, oh my gosh, here comes middle school, and that's such a tough transition. We tend to get involved a lot at transitional times. Preschool to public, or preschool to kindergarten, or elementary to middle to high, leaving high school. Those are big junctures where we tend to get involved.
Okay, so it sounds expensive, Rich.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you asked me that, because there is I think a common belief that advocacy is for very affluent folks and is super expensive, and there is truth to it. In our group, I founded it on the belief that it should be available to everybody. So we do that in a variety of ways. We have a sliding scale. So folks who are at certain income levels can qualify for 50% off, 75% off. We also have some special programs where we have partnerships. A wonderful one that we have in DC is a partnership with the Children's Law Center, where they fully fund the children that we work with through them.
Okay.
We have 2 other programs that we're working on in one's just in Montgomery County and one is all over. The Montgomery County program is called Community Bridges, and that's for Latina girls who are having challenges in school. And we provide the advocacy service through a philanthropist's donations. We reduce our fees, but we still are paid through the funds that the organization has garnered. So that's wonderful. And then after the tragic murder of George Floyd, we started a program for Black special needs students where we provide 3 hours of no-cost service, regardless of income level, for starters, for families that qualify. And then beyond that, we do, after the 3 hours, we do use income-based vetting, but folks can still qualify for a sliding scale. So we're always looking for more ways to serve everyone. And that's really our belief that advocacy should be for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for answering what is, it can be a tricky question. And yet I always kind of want to call it out because I feel the same way about speech therapy. Like, it's expensive.
Sure it is, yeah.
It's worth doing. And there are going to be, clearly you're helping many, many families navigate really tricky waters where, you know, even the whatever, even the ignorant turn of phrase about, you know, and this is the one I know, you know what, I'm going to ask you in a second to tell me one that I don't know, but the need versus would benefit from. Right. When you go to an IEP meeting, which is the individualized education plan, which is the legal document for folks that don't know IEP, it is a legal document that says what the child needs, but it doesn't say what's best for them. The legal standard, yes, is need. Am I wrong about this? Do you judge me a little here?
You know, you're right, although there has been a change in the law of the land. There was a Supreme Court case in 2017 called Andrew F, ENDREW, Andrew F, and it was a unanimous decision of the Supreme Court, if you can imagine unanimous on anything.
I cannot imagine it, but go ahead.
And the decision really focused on the fact that the standard should be students should be making progress. Sounds like a no-brainer, of course, but that was an upgrade from the idea that we just have to provide the basic floor of opportunity, just provide, what's appropriate. We're still not saying schools have to provide the best, but we're saying kids have to be making progress. So schools can be providing special ed year after year, and if there's not progress, that's not working, and then something else needs to be done. So that has been a huge step forward for kids with special needs.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. Before I let you go, is there like one other tip, thing, knowledge nugget that you can give to parents who are navigating a tricky system?
Yeah, one thing I really want to say, and I think this is a nugget, is the importance of collaboration. So advocates can have a bad name as being adversarial, pounding the table, blaming, making school people feel they're wrong. And while that can be effective sometimes in the short run, we don't believe that it's effective in the long run. If you want people to work with you, you really have to come at it in a collaborative way. We believe strongly that there are good people in the school system. I'm proof. I was one. I'm not
Well,
a
it's so interesting that you come from, I mean, that is, case in point. And you weren't there for 3 years. You were there for a long time.
I'm the same guy I was then.
Yeah.
So, it's always about, let's focus on the child. Can we all not think about what we usually do or what our bosses told us to do, but what is this one child? Who is he or she, and what do they need? And we all care about kids. We all care about this kid. How do we work together to make sure this kid is getting what they need? And with that approach, we've had a tremendous success. I want to say the school systems in the Washington, D.C. area are some of the best school systems in the country. They have shortcomings like every, other school system has. They have tremendous tasks to do to educate every kid, kids who can speak English, kids who can't speak English, kids from poverty, homeless kids. In that context, they're doing a tremendous job, and our job is not to attack them or make them feel bad, but let's all work on this one child today and make a difference in their life. And so collaboration is a huge goal we have when we go into meetings.
I love it. All right, we're going to leave it there.
Awesome.
If it's not collaborative, it's not going to be effective long-term. Collaboration, and communication.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. This was lovely.
Yeah, thanks for giving me and others this opportunity. It's a great service.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, take care.